1967, that's when that song was written. The end. Tough way to start a Sunday morning, isn't it? But look, in 1967, we were a country that was divided. And that song, it captures the mood of a whole lot of people in the country at the time. So I want to start by asking you all a question. By show of hands, who remembers 1968? What came next? It's even worse, right? We lost a hero who helped to restore dignity to millions of people. Two of the cities where I've lived in my life, Detroit and Washington, D.C., they went up in flames. Bobby Kennedy was killed, and there was a war that deeply divided our country. Let's keep going. Show of hands, 1974. Anybody remember 1974? Trust, the basis for cooperation, right? You need trust to get anything done. Trust at that time in our country was at an all-time low. Let's go back the other way. Show of hands, 1950. Anybody there for 1950? McCarthyism, people in Washington, D.C., at each other's throats. One more, just for good measure, 1865. Anybody there? We got one. I figured it was worth a shot. Look, the point is that our country is no stranger to the hardship and the division that we all feel right now. You know, we've made it through many times when a whole lot of people looked around and they said, hey, this is it. This is the end. When people were more apt to focus on the divisions in our country rather than all of our common ground. But we made it through. And the way that we did was by looking to people who didn't let those divisions or those problems consume them. People who saw the problems, but they asked, how can we solve them? Now, today we do have big problems as a country. Problems that are holding far too many people back, and some problems that we've never had to deal with before. And today it does feel harder to come together to solve those problems than at any time in recent memory. But as polarized as our country feels today, and as polarized as it is, it's important to put our current situation in perspective. Because if we make it through this time, it'll be for the same reasons that we made it through before. By looking to those who see opportunity when so many other people only see the end. We call these people social entrepreneurs. And they're at the center of our efforts. Because the solution to even the biggest problems in our country, it always starts with just one person. And fortunately, there are several hundred of you here today. Several hundred social entrepreneurs, and there are millions of people in our country who are ready to join you. No one of us can do it on our own, but each one of us has a critical role to play. So we want to start this morning with the story of just one person.
My name is Amy Reese Anderson, and I live in Sandy, Utah with my husband, Roland. As a kid, I just wanted to grow up and get married and have 10 kids, just like my mom did. That was like my goal in life. Ended up, getting married very young, only to then get divorced and end up as a single mom with 2 kids. It is one of the biggest struggles to try to raise a family by yourself alone and be the financial support. I would go to work full-time in medical offices, and I did everything from answering the phones to chairside assisting to doing transcription and bookkeeping and financial things and so forth. There was no computer in the office back then. Everything was paper-based. More and more, I learned how to use skills I had to develop software. I ended up having a huge passion for it. I needed to put food on the table, and I thought, well, I can either go work for somebody else and keep doing that, or I can try to do something on my own where I can have the flexibility to be with the kids. And so that's why I started my first company. And I was like, if I could develop software for the internet that could change healthcare, that was the impetus to start to develop a web-based system. And that's how MediConnect Global got started. MediConnect Global is a health information exchange that gathers medical data and runs analytics on that data that can be used by health insurance companies, life insurance companies, and lawyers. When we started MediConnect, we had about 50 employees, and over the next several years, we grew that to be almost 2,000 employees. What really led to us being super successful was the people. We kind of flipped everything on its head and said, The way we're going to grade you as a manager is how many other managers you create, how many other leaders come from under your team can go on and actually go into other leadership positions. I believe that all it takes is one person who believes in you and say, you are capable of doing this. And that really led to an amazing work ethic and culture inside the company.
When I first met Amy and I learned that she was a single mom running a company, the reality of the load that she was carrying was remarkable to me. She loves lifting others. She loves to see other people succeed.
I love entrepreneurship because I saw what it could do to help me be self-reliant. And I am so passionate about getting that message out to our youth and to inspire them and encourage them that they can do it too. Because if I could, anybody can. We launched a foundation to really encourage young people to look at entrepreneurship as a pathway to self-reliance. I'd been really successful in business, but running a foundation is very different.
We hadn't done it before. You know, how do we effectively spend our time and resources?
We were kind of just walking along, doing one step at a time. And once we got involved in the seminar network, we've been able to just run and expand so much faster than we ever would have thought possible. So Roland and I have been able to invest in things like youth entrepreneurs through the high school system. That's a hands-on entrepreneurship program, teaching these kids that when you make a profit, do good in the world, go out and help others. And partnering with the network, we've been able to launch the Amy Reese Anderson Academic Entrepreneurs up at Utah State University. Not only do we need to focus on helping our students get into entrepreneurship, but we need to have some female examples so that our young women will actually look at that as a place where they belong too. And we're super excited about now launching another center at Utah Valley University next. The Seminar Network is really a platform helping you amplify your efforts. You know, help with the legal things and help with the marketing and help with bringing in the right talent. They've got all those people in place and they're saying, leverage these. They've really given me the gift of time, of letting me leverage my time in the most useful way that I can to make the difference I want to. Today we're headed up to Utah State University to go and meet with some of the students in one of our cohorts up there, and we're really excited to go and hear how they're doing. To be able to kind of be an example to these girls of what can be done and of why it's important, like it's a privilege for me. I feel like, you know, all that hardship I went through, I feel like, oh, that's why that happened. That's why I needed to go through that so that I could then be there for these girls.
Before coming into contact with this program, I would never have labeled myself an entrepreneur because I'd never been that person that wanted to start their own business. But talking to Amy, I realized that it's much more than that. It's really the mindset of thinking creatively about problems. It's all about helping people most effectively.
I want to use the skills that I've been given and I've developed to make an impact on my local community and make an impact on other people to help make their lives better overall.
Our students are clamoring for the opportunity to rub shoulders with people who have actually been there, been in the trenches, and experienced what business is all about. What Amy is doing by working across the higher education spectrum in the state of Utah is a model, I think, for all of us.
I truly feel blessed that I have Amy, who loves the same things that I do. We want to spend the rest of our lives engaged in helping other people.
I mean, just the lives we're affecting and the number of kids we're affecting is unbelievable. And I couldn't have done that on my own. We all want to do something really good in the world. We want to do it for the right reasons, and we want to help people. To be part of something where we're actually focused on building people up and making a difference in people's lives, what a blessing, right? What a dream come true. That is the dream for me.
Amy is here with us today. She's been a great partner. Amy, stand up and get another round of applause. Thank you for all you're doing. And you know, Amy's story, in that story, it holds the key to the next big step forward in the evolution of this network. Unpack it with me. As you saw, Amy started from very humble beginnings, but now she's one of this country's most successful entrepreneurs, just like so many of you. I mean, this room is full of people who, just like Amy, identified your passions at an early age. You developed your unique gifts through trial and error and life experience, and now you're dedicated to using those gifts to succeed by helping others to improve their lives. But you don't stop there. When you succeed, you look for new opportunities, new ways to apply the skills that you've developed to help even more people more effectively. And then you do it again. You're on this virtuous cycle where success begets success begets success. And you've accomplished so much for so many people. This is what makes you social entrepreneurs. What if we could take that model to scale? What if we could supercharge social entrepreneurs across the country to help millions of people from all walks of life to do this? To identify their passions, develop their unique gifts, and use those gifts to help themselves by helping others. And then they can do it again, where their success leads to new opportunities in their lives, which leads to more success and new opportunities. This is how we scale. This is how we unleash the potential in everybody. And this isn't just theory. This is how our country has always solved the big problems. When individual social entrepreneurs unite to help break the barriers that are holding people back, that's how social progress happens. Progress, like when Dr. King united the civil rights movement to help restore dignity to millions of people. Or progress, when Norman Borlaug united the scientific community to help spark a green revolution to address world hunger. Progress, when Anton Lucky, who you saw last night, is working with the largest gangs in the country alongside police officers to stop senseless violence. Or when Scott Strode, who started as just one guy on a bike, is now uniting with so many of you to help address the opioid crisis in this country. The more people that this network can unite and empower to do the same thing, supercharging their efforts by connecting them to each other and to this network's capabilities, the bigger the problems that we can solve together. So what's standing in our way? Well, these are the barriers that are preventing people from realizing their potential, preventing millions of people from getting onto that sort of virtuous cycle. A failing education system. It's a barrier. It prevents kids from identifying their passions and developing their unique gifts. I mean, how are you going to get on a virtuous cycle where success begets new opportunities in your life if you're stuck from the start? Broken economic policy. It's a barrier. It prevents people from taking that next step in their life, getting that next job, or that family from starting the next business. It prevents people from developing their unique gifts. Or a broken criminal justice system. It limits the opportunities that a person has to develop the skills that they need to contribute in the lives of others. Each one of these is a barrier that makes it less likely that a person will get onto that path to success. Each one of these barriers robs our country of the extraordinary potential that's locked up in people everywhere. And so each one of these barriers is holding our country back. But this network is here to break these barriers. And we do it by investing across the key institutions of society because we know that that's what it takes to make sustainable progress and help people improve their lives. And you've been at this for a while, and so this morning we are going to share some insights through case study that helps to show how this network, by coming alongside social entrepreneurs, is helping to break the barriers that are holding people back across the key institutions of society. And we're doing it with barriers that most people would look at and say, that's impossible. So I'm going to get started with our first case study. We're going to talk about breaking the barrier of persistent poverty by empowering social entrepreneurs in communities. And to do that, I'll invite my colleague, Evan Feinberg, up to lead us. Evan is Executive Director of Stand Together. Evan?
Well, Brian said that solving big problems starts with just one person. Well, if there was ever an issue to test that theory, it's persistent poverty. It's a problem that is so big, so entrenched, affects so many people, and it is seemingly so difficult to make a difference on. There are 40 million Americans today in poverty. That is 15% of our country. And get this, the rate of social mobility is actually on the decline, which means if you're born poor today, you are becoming more likely to remain poor. And so when you think about this, you say, how could this be? Well, the causes of poverty are extremely complex, but there is one thing that we know for sure. The top-down sweeping solutions that people have turned to just haven't worked. But what if the answer really did start with just one person? Let me introduce you to Mark Laranger. Mark believes, as we do, that all people can contribute and that we can help all people to realize their extraordinary potential. Now, Mark and his team at Chrysalis have been proving this for 34 years. Chrysalis works with the chronically jobless and the homeless to help them find and maintain meaningful work, and they get incredible results. Over 70% of Chrysalis graduates find and keep a job long term. And those really are great results. We've evaluated hundreds of workforce development programs across the country, and those results are near the top. But then Mark met you. He met this network, right? And so I want you to take a look at this video that shows you both the impact that a group like Chrysalis can have and how this network can help them take their efforts to the next level. Take a look.
When I was growing up, the area I was living in, part of the Crenshaw district, it was very rough. Robberies, gambling, hustling drugs, homeless and down on your luck. It was always about trying to make a fast dollar. I didn't make all the right choices. I went to prison for 10 years for grand theft. It's depressing to just see people go through what they go through in the streets.
In Southern California, it's the homeless situation is the issue that all mayors are struggling with. Some folks just want us to arrest people. It doesn't really solve the problem to say you can't sleep here. How are we really going to solve this problem?
Trying to help this situation is really a human dignity issue.
What we've noticed in a lot of our giving is that we had a whole bunch of people who we gave money to, they had good intentions, but the outcomes really weren't there.
It has been a little frustrating because we don't know if what we do is helpful, if it's really